Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce a true titan of the business world, Mr. Warren Buffett. With a reputation as one of the most successful investors and astute business leaders in history, Mr. Buffett's insights and wisdom have guided countless individuals and companies alike. Today, we have the privilege of hearing his thoughts on the dynamic nature of industries, the pursuit of efficiency, and the delicate balance between progress and compassion.
Historically, every industry at all times is interested in downsizing or becoming more efficient. Now, if the industry is growing, you can achieve efficiency by doing more work or turning out more output with the same people. But if you go back 150 years and look at the percentage of people in farming, for example, farming has downsized from being a very appreciable percentage of the American workforce to a very small percentage, and essentially that's released people to do other things. So it's in the interests of society to get as much output in anything as it can per unit of labor input. It's very difficult on the individual involved, and it's no fun. I guess it's no fun being a horse when the tractor comes along, or a blacksmith, and when the car comes along. But so I don't quarrel with the activities. I quarrel sometimes with how it's done, and I do think there's been a certain lack of, in certain cases, some empathy or sensitivity in terms of the way it's being done. You should try to make, in cases, some empathy or sensitivity in terms of the way it's being done. You should try to make that will require us off people over time, because we hope that physical output grows and that we become more productive and can keep the same number of people to get greater output.
Warren Buffett highlights the historical trend of industries aiming for efficiency and downsizing, often leading to shifts in workforce composition. He acknowledges the societal benefits of maximizing output per unit of labor input, but points out the challenges faced by individuals during such transitions. While he doesn't oppose the concept, he emphasizes the importance of empathy and sensitivity in the process, aiming to minimize negative impacts on people affected by these changes.
Extra Shoe has done a great job of that over time. They've become more and more productive, but they've sold more shoes instead of selling the same number of shoes and letting people go. But sometimes industry trends, at World Book we have fewer people than we had a year or two ago, and we don't have any answer to that. Over time, we got out of the textile business. I wish we didn't have to, but we did not know how to run a textile company in New England and compete effectively. Like I say, I love avoiding those businesses, and to the extent we can, we will. Geico is going to add people over time, and I think Berkshire Hathaway is going to add people over time. But it is in the interests of society to do jobs more effectively. It's also in the interest of society, it seems to me, to take care in some way of the people that are affected by that activity. And either, in some cases, it may be retraining, but in other cases, it doesn't work so well. If you're 55 years old and you've been working in a textile mill all your life, and all of a sudden the guy that runs the place can't make any money out of selling your output. That's not the fellow's fault that's been working in the textile mill for 30 years. So there's a balance in that. I think that the attention that's come about lately, I think there's, to some degree, it was a media fad based on some particularly dramatic examples at a couple of companies. I don't think there is more displacement going on now as a percentage of the labor force annually than there was 10 years ago in terms of reconstituting what people do. But it's gotten a lot of attention lately. There could be a backlash on that in terms of corporate tax rates or a number of things, and we might feel it in that direction. We want at Berkshire to do everything as efficiently as we can. Part of that, in a big way, is not taking on a lot of people we don't need. A lot of the mistakes that are being corrected now are because people got very fat, and their businesses got very fat in the past and took on all kinds of people they don't need. We see that in a lot of businesses that we're exposed to, and as long as they're very prosperous, really no one does very much about it. And then when time comes, they all of a sudden find out they can get way more output.
Warren Buffett emphasizes the historical trend of industries seeking efficiency and downsizing, particularly in times of growth. He acknowledges the benefits of increased output per unit of labor, but highlights the need for empathy and sensitivity toward affected workers. He discusses how industries like Berkshire Hathaway strive for efficiency while avoiding unnecessary hiring, noting past mistakes of companies becoming overly bloated. Overall, he sees societal interests in efficient production and caring for those impacted by industry changes.
The oil companies are a classic example. You know, the people probably actually needed to produce, refine, and market oil probably hasn't changed that much. But if you look at the employment relative to the barrels produced, refined, and marketed, it's gone down dramatically over 20 years ago. To me, it just means that they weren't being run that well 20 years ago, and it never should have occurred in the first place. We don't want to take on more people than never should have occurred in the first place. We don't want to take on more people than businesses because we don't want to lay people off either. Charlie?
Name a business that has been ruined because it was over downsized. I cannot think of a single one, but if you ask me to name businesses that were half ruined or ruined by bloat, I mean, I could just rattle off name after name after name. It's gotten fashionable to assume that downsizing is wrong. Well, it may have been wrong to let the business get so fat that it eventually had to downsize. But if you've got way more people than are needed in the business, I see no social benefit in having people sit around half-employed or unemployed.
You're very likely to compete against some guy at some point who doesn't have more people around than needed in the business too. But it doesn't change. For the people involved, they've got real problems. And
Warren, can you name one that has been ruined by over downsizing? There must be one, but
well, it's like Eisenhower said about Nixon. Give me a week and I'll come up with something.
In a world where industries evolve and technology reshapes the landscape, Warren Buffett's perspective on downsizing, efficiency, and the human impact of these changes offers invaluable insights. As we navigate the ever-changing tides of business and economics, let us consider the words of this renowned figure as a compass to steer us towards sustainable growth, thoughtful decision-making, and a future that values both progress and the people affected by it.